have said this once, and I will say it again to you. I am fine with the NBA players missing the remainder of the season, essentially sitting out, protesting the remainder of the NBA season, if it means that justice will be done for my people. I'm an African-American male. I'll ride with the NBA. I get money with sports. Be clear about that. I report on sports. I do highlights with sports. When sports are running, it's better for my business as a brand. Be clear about that. But I'm fine with sitting out if the players want to protest the injustices happening in our country. My only complaint is I want the protest to be led by people who have been more consistent. I don't want to use the term smart or dumb in this conversation, but I want the people leading the movement to be more consistent in their actions that we've seen them make throughout their careers. I do not want to be a part of a movement that's led by Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard. Sorry. Somebody had to say it. I'll put it out in the atmosphere. I don't feel comfortable with Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard leading this movement to stop the NBA from coming back. I want to give respect to Dwight Howard and the season that he's having with the Los Angeles Lakers. They're the best team in the Western Conference. At least Dwight Howard has played pretty much this season, but I have to acknowledge that he is a role player on that Lakers squad, a replaceable role player at this point in his career. Kyrie Irving pretty much ain't played all the season. He had a great start to the season and pretty much is taking the rest of the season off. As a matter of fact, if the NBA does return, Kyrie's already had season-ending surgery. So all this complaining that he's doing, he won't even be a part of it. Maybe you look at that as admirable because he's standing up for lesser guys who don't have the voices like a Kyrie Irving. Or maybe you look at him as ridiculous for hopping in something that won't even concern him. He don't even got to go to Orlando to play in a bubble. When did we start listening to Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard? Have they been properly vetted by the proper figures in the black community that represent maybe the Black Lives Matter movement? Have they been talking to those voices, or are they just doing what we've seen Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard do throughout their career, which is make split-second decisions which seemingly don't make a lot of sense to the masses? I went to college with Dwight Howard's wife. All right? Let me put that in perspective. When I was a senior, I believe Dwight Howard's wife was an incoming freshman. Okay, Dwight Howard got into the NBA in 2004, right? In 2004, I was 9 years old. You go do the math for what I just said. I went to school with Dwight Howard's wife. She was a freshman when I was a senior. And Dwight got in the league in 2004, and I was 9 in 2004. You go put that together and tell you figure out why I wouldn't listen to a guy that makes decisions like that. I'm not judging him. I'm just telling you what it is. You remember Dwight Howard when he played in Orlando? When he wanted out of Orlando, then thought about it again and opted back into his deal with the Orlando Magic, and then the following year wanted out of Orlando again, ended up getting traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe called him soft because he wouldn't dedicate himself to the game of basketball. Now looking back, if you listen to a Dwight Howard interview today, he will acknowledge that he could have done things better in Los Angeles with Kobe. Went to Houston with James Harden, didn't get along there. After Dwight left, James Harden became one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, went to Atlanta to play with his hometown team, and the Hawks couldn't figure it out there. Bounced around the league. Dwight Howard, now all of a sudden, he's making decisions that are going to impact the NBA, possibly forever. And Kyrie Irving, oh my God, don't get me started on Kyrie Irving. I could literally do an hour segment on why I would not listen to Kyrie Irving, literally. You talking about the same Kyrie Irving who said he loved playing in Cleveland, and then the following year he just randomly wanted out of Cleveland, that just randomly demanded a trade one day, didn't want to play in Cleveland anymore, wanted to go to Boston, Kyrie Irving? Wanted to get out of Cleveland, ended up in Boston, said it was a perfect situation for him to be under Brad Stevens' tutelage? The Celtics are 10 times better this year than the previous 2 years with Kyrie Irving being their leading point guard. They're having fun. Jason Tatum is blossoming. Jaylen Brown is back on the right track. Kemba Walker is having the most fun in his career. Went right into where Kyrie was, replaced him, and it looks like Boston is in a much better space than when they were under Kyrie Irving's tutelage. Yeah, you talking about the Kyrie Irving that went to Brooklyn, and when he did play, which wasn't much this season, their record was better without Kyrie than it was with them. He was getting buckets because he is a walking bucket, an incredible talent. But that Kyrie, the one that thinks the earth is flat, Kyrie Irving, we want to listen to Kyrie Irving I know he doesn't want to play. Number one, he's guaranteed to make a lot of money because he's got a signature shoe with Nike. Yeah, he's of the 1% of the league. He's good for the rest of his life. Didn't Kyrie Irving come out and say one time that he doesn't see himself playing basketball past 35? Ain't Kyrie the same dude that's missed? Literally, go look this up. Don't just take my word for it. Go look it up. There have been more seasons in Kyrie Irving's career which he wasn't available for his team's last game. Include this year as well. Meaning, the last game of the season, whether it was in the playoffs, at the end of the regular season, if his team didn't make the playoffs, there have been more seasons when Kyrie Irving has been unavailable for his squad than healthy. So he's got money. He's made a max contract after max contract. He's financially set with Nike. He's got everything going with his business, his brand is great. More times than not, he misses games. He's been injury prone throughout his very young career still. I know you don't want to come back and play. You don't have anything to lose. You didn't play this year. John Wall is coming out and making statements about how he understands where Kyrie's coming from. Yeah, you didn't miss 2 years too. I do not want to be a part of a movement led by Dwight Howard, Kyrie Irving, and John Wall. By the way, these are all phenomenal talents. All three of these dudes are likely going to go into the Hall of Fame one day. The jury's still out on John Wall a little bit, but Kyrie definitely and Dwight Howard might be first ballot. I don't want to listen to these guys when it comes to a movement that is so important to our people. And also in regards to an NBA, a sport that I love dearly. Meaning, I don't know if Kyrie or Dwight understand this or not. If you miss the remainder of this season, there is no next year. The NBA will have about 25 teams in luxury tax. One thing for certain, two things for sure I can tell you about these owners, even the Mark Cubans of the world, the more liberal owners, they ain't playing next year if their teams, if 25 out of the 30 teams in the league's in luxury tax, I guarantee you basketball won't be played next year. So if you sit out this year, you're going to miss money next year. ESPN, the company, the network that pays the NBA the most money for their basketball, if NBA doesn't return and these ratings continue to tank throughout the summer, because baseball ain't looking too good right now either, I guarantee you ESPN will not be able to move forward with their country. They're going to have to fire so much of their staff. So Turner and ESPN, your two contract providers that give you your TV money, they're not going to be happy. You might as well tear that whole CBA up. That's what's going to happen if basketball does not return this year. I just want these guys to know what's at stake, and I want them to ask the question of, can we use our voices to combat change while playing basketball? I came up with this idea. Y'all tell me what y'all think about it in the comment box below. We know these games are going to do great ratings. We believe they are. As long as the product looks good, we know the NBA is going to do really good ratings when it comes back because nothing's on TV right now. People are bored out of their minds without sports. How about we dedicate halftime of every game? I'm talking about every game. Let's use halftime to get the voices out there of the Tamika Mallory's of the world, of the Killer Mikes of the world. Let's use halftime to allow these people of our race, black people, the opportunity to speak about issues and how we can all help to make this country a better place. Let's do that while you got the eyes of the masses. Because the leaders I know that were athletes, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars of the world, the Muhammad Ali's of the world, Muhammad Ali didn't fight because they sent him to jail. They took his championship and sent him to jail because he wouldn't fight for this country because he said there are problems in our own backyard. Muhammad Ali, as long as he could fight, he wanted to fight because he knew he was more valuable to the movement physically being able to showcase his talent, talk before fights, and express his concern with issues. LeBron James has been able to do anything he's ever needed to do. Build a school, speak out on injustices, the Trayvon Martins, the George Floyd situations of the world. He's did it while playing. He's never needed to not play to use his voice and his platform. I'd argue that his voice has been the biggest it could possibly be because he was in season when some of these things transpired in our country. You can make change. The biggest athlete of your sport has done it in season. in season, the biggest athlete has been able to separate what he does for a living and how much he cares about his people. Losing the NBA, I don't think Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard have really thought this through, what that means, because again, these are two rich guys that have made a lot of money and, in my honest opinion, underwhelmed the expectations. And I know Kyrie Irving's a champion, but be clear, I still think a little underwhelming overall the way guys hype him up. Dwight Howard definitely has underwhelmed, as great as a talent as he was and how physically dominating he still looks in phenomenal shape. Dwight Howard, you're doing a great job with your body, brother. But I'm just saying, overall, y'all careers have been literally characterized by decisions that I look at and I say, if I was in that spot, I wouldn't make it. I'm fine with the movement being led by Avery Bradley, Lou Williams, whomever. I don't want it being led by two guys that make questionable decisions at best. They have a track record of just thinking out of the whim. Very immature, both of these guys have, to me, shown that they are very split-second decision makers. This one is not just impacting Kyrie Irving or Dwight Howard. This decision that you guys are making will have a lasting impact on the NBA. If they miss by the way, the NBA has lost a lot of money as is. You miss this playoffs, the remainder of the season and the playoffs, and then next year, you might have LeBron James retiring. The NBA will never be what it was if you miss the next two seasons. The next two playoffs, this thing will never regroup. There will be a drought among drought. It'll be worse than after Jordan retired. The NBA is going to go deep into a very dark place. And I don't want to see this happen to a sport I love. Adam Silver has always shown us that he's willing to fight with us and not against us, unlike Roger Goodell, in my opinion. Why not utilize that? Why not let the NBA donate money? Why not put these owners to a test? Why not make sure? Because I do believe sports is a very powerful place, one of the most powerful places to get change in this country. Because people listen. Because it's the only place where you get all races watching one thing. You got white, black, anything. You got anybody, any group of race of people that'll celebrate next to each other for the one common goal, which is the betterment of their team or their favorite player, whatever. I do believe you should use sports to literally combat change and racism in this country. I do. But don't just sit out. Utilize Adam Silver and these owners of the league. Make them spend that dollar. Utilize that. Use that platform on television to speak out against these issues. And actually put the people who are smarter than me or LeBron James in positions to speak out at halftime, during first quarters, whenever you got to do it. I don't care. Don't take away a voice that's very powerful to the movement. When Trayvon Martin got killed in Florida, when LeBron James and the Miami Heat team, they wore the hoodies with the Skittles in their hand in that Heat locker room, how you going to tell me that wasn't important to the movement? For damn certain that was a very powerful gesture by LeBron James and the Miami Heat at the time. Let's not just take this voice away from us right now. That'll have long-term implications on guys' livelihoods. Come on now, let's think this through before we just act off emotion. Let's think this through and let's make sure we're making the thing that makes the most sense. By the way, if this is about coronavirus, not wanting to play in the bubble, hey, I'm tapping out. Hey, it's not my body going into that coronavirus atmosphere. Right? You won't even be able to see your family and friends. I know guys around the league got wives that are pregnant. If this is about coronavirus, hey, you got me. You don't go. Hey, I understand that. That's where I tap out. I can't speak on something that I wouldn't be able to go through. Right? I can't speak on how crazy a time that'll be. You'll literally be rich in jail dealing with that coronavirus and that bubble in Orlando. If it's about the virus, I get it. But if this is about the movement, like, if it's about the virus, Avery Bradley, say it's about the virus. Dwight Howard says it's about the virus. If it's about the movement, that just sounds like you guys don't want to go to work. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If y'all come up with that decision as a collective, fine, I'll roll with it. But I wanted to be led with someone other than Dwight Howard or Kyrie Irving.